If you're struggling from tension in your head or neck or have headaches that cause you a lot of pain, today's exercises may be some helpful hints to help relieve some of that tension and pain. In today's video, I'd like to share with you a few techniques that may help alleviate some headache issues. Now, we all know that headaches can happen for so many different reasons: hormonal issues, environmental issues, immune responses, unresolved trauma, just to name a few. So it may not be that these exercises zero in on the root of your particular cause of your headaches. But the main thing that we want to remember from a very physical standpoint of headaches is that pressure tends to build. No matter where the root of the cause of headaches come from, we do know that the pressure, the fluid buildup, is part of what creates that tension and that discomfort to create headaches. So today's exercises are helping to focus on how to help bring more awareness and more release from the fluid in your head so that it can move through the body, move back to the heart for it to be filtered and dispersed. Again, if you have a full headache right now, this may not be the best time to try this exercise. So please explore and be gentle with your own body to know if it's a right fit for you for today. So the first part we're going to start with is simply trying to bring some awareness to our lower body or our pelvis. Because if we think about the whole head and the spinal cord floating in this beautiful fluid called the cerebrospinal fluid, we want that floating to happen. We want that equalizing of the pressure to be able to be regulated through this cerebrospinal fluid. And sometimes it's very helpful to remind the body that it has this lower portion, that it can move down. So instead of bringing the focus up into the head, we're going to mobilize and move a bit the pelvis. So I'm returning back to one of my favorite exercises, which is just a nice rocking of your pelvis. You may want to be on a little bit harder surface, but with a bit of cushion underneath you. You want it to feel comfortable. So if it doesn't feel comfortable, this might not be the right match for today. But notice in that movement, if the ease, almost like we are moving in this very gentle wave-like undulations here of the lower body. Now you could easily do this kind of moving one hip forward and one hip back, or maybe you circle the pelvis. Simply explore what kind of movements through your hips and your lower back feel comfortable for you, because that might be different for each one of us. And then as we begin to get that awareness or that attunement lower down in our bodies, then we want to remember the kind of way that circulation is happening from the fluids in the head coming back to the heart. And there is a left thoracic duct and a right subclavian vein. Those are big words to say. Those are the little faucets that drain the fluid from your head back to the heart. So you may want to tap or give a little gentle compression or tap massaging in this area right under your collarbones here. So that's one place you can, again, notice what feels good. You might stroke a little towards the heart. Tap a little bit, rub, whatever you may feel good on your body, and then do the same right above the clavicles. I'm just providing a little bit of stimulation to keep those drain pipes open a bit. And then we have the jugular vein, which comes right down through the neck here, and you may find that a little bit of gentle stroking from the ear to the clavicles or the collarbones helps open up those channels also. Maybe a few times there. And if it feels nourishing and comforting and soothing to your own body, I would keep doing it for as long as it feels good. And then taking the ears now and pulling them gently out to the sides. This always kind of elicits a little bit of a yawn from my own body. And that again opens up the space behind your ear where all of that fluid can move down and through. And then notice how you feel about any touch on your head. So sometimes I do specific places on my temples or the crown of my head that may feel good, that pressure may feel good. Maybe you have a little bit of rubbing or squeezing of the head. Sometimes people can gently press their head into a wall in different places to get that stimulation, or the floor. So you don't have to use your hands, you can use another object to get a little bit of pressure. Sometimes it feels really good just to have a squeeze of the head, but sometimes that feels like too much stimulation. So notice in your own system, is that meeting me? Is that comfortable here? Is that providing some kind of sensory experience that I feel like things are shifting? So again, we've opened up here. We've hopefully gotten a little bit more space through those drain pipes to relieve any congestion that might be in there. And then the last piece is to remind your head. I always feel like I have to relax my jaw here. Remind your head and your spine that it is floating in fluid. It reminds me of a quality of a jellyfish. So what might you bring to your attention? Maybe you feel your ears expanding a bit. Maybe you feel your jaw relaxing. Maybe you feel the space above your head kind of floating up a bit. What might it feel like to add in little tiny movements, almost maybe imperceptible to someone else looking at those movements, just tiny little movements of that floating sensation. And then maybe that floating sensation moves into a little bit of what I like to pretend that I'm kind of like seaweed on the bottom of the ocean floor, just gently being moved and swayed by the movement of the waves and the tides, so that I sense that I am a jellyfish, because I'm starting to feel that like I don't have any tension in my body, no bones, no muscles. I'm simply being carried by the waves with that nice, fluid, spacious feeling. And you can see how it may start to translate down your spine and into your pelvis, where you feel that gentle ease and rocking and movement. Now, for some of us, that may create a little more pain. If it does, simply imagine it. So if that movement feels like it irritates the body in any way, just simply imagine that buoyancy and that being carried and buoyed by the water. So you feel that floating sensation, and the pressure, the hope is then the pressure begins to equalize throughout the whole body. I hope those techniques may help you in your support as you may have chronic migraines or headaches or even tension in your head. Thanks for joining me today.